The situation of Taiwan is one of the most sensitive and complex geopolitical issues in the world today. The dispute involves historical, political, military, economic, and identity-based factors that have accumulated over more than a century. To understand the current scenario, it is essential to look at how Taiwan transformed over time, why China claims the island, and why the world pays so much attention to the Taiwan Strait. Taiwan was inhabited by indigenous peoples for thousands of years and, over time, experienced several waves of migration from mainland China. In the 17th century, Chinese settlers and European powers passed through the island until it eventually came under administration of the Qing Empire. In the late 19th century, after China was defeated in a war against Japan, Taiwan was ceded to the Japanese Empire during 50 years of Japanese rule. The island underwent significant transformations in infrastructure, education, and lifestyle, absorbing influences that made it distinct from mainland China. When Japan was defeated in World War II, Taiwan was placed under the control of the Republic of China. However, mainland China was in the midst of a civil war between the Nationalist Party and the Communist Party. In 1949, the Communists won the war and founded the People's Republic of China. The defeated government, led by the Nationalists, fled to Taiwan, bringing institutions, military personnel, and a large population that would rebuild a new government on the island. From that moment on, two rival entities existed, the People's Republic of China on the mainland and the Republic of China on Taiwan. Each claimed to be the legitimate government of all China. In the decades that followed, Taiwan remained under authoritarian rule commanded by the Nationalist Party. Meanwhile, mainland China consolidated a strongly centralized communist government. The Cold War reinforced political separation and isolation between the two sides. Over time, most countries shifted their diplomatic recognition from Taiwan to the People's Republic of China, isolating Taiwan and leading to the loss of its seat at the United Nations. Despite this formal isolation, Taiwan experienced rapid economic growth. The island became an industrial power and gradually entered the forefront of global technology, especially in the semiconductor industry. In the 1980s and 1990s, Taiwan underwent martial law was lifted, political parties were legalized, free elections were established, and a modern democratic society emerged. Along with democratization, a new Taiwanese identity took shape, an identity more distinct from the traditional idea of a single, unified China. Meanwhile, mainland China was becoming a global giant. Although China introduced economic reforms and opened itself to global trade, the political system remained authoritarian. In this new configuration, Taiwan became a modern and vibrant democracy, while China evolved into an economic and political superpower under the control of the Communist Party. One of the central elements shaping the Taiwan issue is China's One China policy. China insists that Taiwan is part of its territory and that reunification is inevitable. Many Taiwanese, however, see the island as a sovereign entity in practice, with its own government, currency, military, and identity. Yet most Taiwanese leaders avoid formally declaring independence, fearing a potential military reaction from China. The role of the United States is essential. Although the U.S. does not officially recognize Taiwan as a country, it maintains informal relations and insists that any change to Taiwan's status must occur peacefully. U.S. law requires that the United States assist Taiwan in maintaining its self-defense capabilities, but it does not explicitly guarantee military intervention. This strategic ambiguity is designed to discourage both a Chinese invasion and a unilateral declaration of independence by Taiwan. Taiwan's strategic importance goes far beyond politics. Its geographical location is crucial in Asia's military dynamics. Taiwan lies at the center of a line of islands that military strategists often consider a barrier limiting China's access to the Pacific Ocean. For China, controlling Taiwan would significantly expand its military projection into the Pacific. For the United States and its allies, preventing such an expansion is vital for maintaining balance in the Indo-Pacific region. Another critical aspect is Taiwan's semiconductor industry. Taiwan produces the world's most advanced chips, essential for smartphones, computers, cars, military systems, and practically all modern technologies. The Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC, is the global leader in cutting-edge chip production. Any major crises in Taiwan would immediately impact international supply chains, causing shortages, rising prices, and economic instability worldwide. In recent years, China has increased military pressure on Taiwan. Chinese planes and ships frequently conduct exercises near the island, testing Taiwan's responses and increasing tension. Taiwan has strengthened its military forces, extended conscription, trained civilians, and invested in asymmetric strategies that make invasion more difficult. Despite this, life in Taiwan continues. Normally it is a modern society with a strong economy, consolidated democracy, and broad civil freedoms. Taiwan's internal politics are marked by two major currents. One supports maintaining the status quo to avoid autonomous in practice without declaring formal independence. The other emphasizes Taiwanese identity and supports distancing the island from mainland China. Most of the population, especially younger generations, identify as Taiwanese rather than Chinese, and reject the idea of reunification under China's current political system. In the international arena, Taiwan maintains important informal relationships, especially with countries that value democracy, regional stability, and technological security. While Taiwan lacks formal recognition, countries such as the United States, Japan, and several European nations have strong practical interests in the island's future. Japan, for example, considers a conflict in the Taiwan Strait a direct threat to its national security. The situation is further complicated by rising U.S.-China rivalry. Taiwan has become a symbol of the broader global struggle between democratic and authoritarian systems. The island shows that a society with Chinese cultural roots can function as a democratic nation, something that contradicts the narrative promoted by the Chinese Communist Party. Several future scenarios are possible. The most likely in the short term is the continuation of the status quo. Taiwan remains autonomous without declaring independence. China continues to exert pressure, and external powers maintain informal support. Another scenario is increased coercion without war. Economic pressure, diplomatic isolation, cyber attacks, and information warfare. A negotiated reunification seems increasingly unlikely due to deep identity differences. The worst scenario would be armed conflict blockade, invasion, or limited strike, which would have devastating global consequences. Although tensions are high, an immediate war remains relatively unlikely because the cost would be enormous. China's economy could suffer massive shocks. The global tech industry would face collapse, and major foreign powers could intervene militarily, increasing the scale of conflict. Taiwan's geography and preparedness also make invasion a difficult and risky endeavor. Taiwan represents much more than a territorial dispute. It symbolizes the tension between democracy and authoritarianism, between national identity and political nationalism, and between technological supremacy and geopolitical power. The future of the island influences global economics, security, and political values. Its fate remains uncertain, dependent on a fragile balance between external pressure, internal aspirations, and the strategic decisions of global powers.